Thank you for this wonderful welcome. And bonjour à tout le monde. Comment ça va? Oh, c'est un petit peu fatigué encore. Alors, levez votre main en haut. Tout en haut. Tournez à droite. And give a good massage to your neighbor. Give a very good massage to your neighbor. Come on, come on, come on. It always helps. So, first of all, I'm very happy to be here with all of you. It's a big honor, it's a big pleasure. And I want to share with you on this fantastic, unique conference, which I go to a couple of conferences, but this is really unique. And if you could see behind the scenes, all these people who are working with this wonderful Montreal smile, it's a pleasure, really, it's an honor to be here. So I want to share with you a story, actually my personal story, which went all direction, up and downs, on loopings. And there was a book coming out in Europe 2 years ago, and now it's translated in English, called Not for Sale, which you can see here, right? And not for sale means for me, stay true to yourself. And stay true to yourself, it's a big work. It's not you know it once when you're young and you all go your life. It's a permanent work to really reflect yourself, to really think about what you're doing, to really feel your goals, and mainly to follow your instincts. And especially in a world like now, who became very rational, very analyzed, very clear, I think fantasy, love, connection, being together and achieving goals together, it's so and so important. And for me, was it always since I don't know where it came from, but since I was born, my parents are a little bit, have a gypsy style, so I was quite free when I was young. But I knew very early when I come to school, I have to push it, that school wasn't for me. School, I felt like in a prison, and in the middle of the class when I was 15, I stood up and I said, goodbye to everybody, that's it, I'm gonna quit school. But I had a goal. I knew what I did not want, school, but I knew what I wanted. I wanted a girlfriend. Come on, at the age of 15, you want a girlfriend. That's all you want. But I knew it. But I was a sportsman. I was a sportsman in many fields. I was a swimmer, I was an athlete, I was everything. But the girls only looked at the soccer players. So I had to become a soccer player, but I wasn't very good, so they put me in goal. So I became a goalie, and since then I was trained like 7-8 hours just to get a girlfriend. And I did. Her name was Claudia. So, no, I have to go one back. I'm too fast. Let's see if this works. I'm the worst in technique, so don't be afraid if this goes totally wrong. Well, let's skip one. It went very fast. I became the best goalie from Germany when at the age of 16 because I was so extreme. I did everything to become a professional goalkeeper. And at the age of 19, I became the goalkeeper of Bayern Munich, which is a very good team in Europe. And this changed somehow my life because the success came, I have to say, too early. It came overnight. To be 19 and to be so much in the press and to go in a stadium of 80,000 people watching you live on television, it's a big challenge for yourself, you know. And you have to hide. You have to overcome your fears to play in front of all these people and not show any weakness. But it was a very interesting training for myself. It gave me a lot of discipline, it gave me a lot of connection, it gave me a lot of team spirit, teamwork, and also, again, to overcome your fear, which all of us, we have so much fears in life, there's so many masks people putting up, and we had to get rid of this. And I think you have to embrace your fears, and you really learn this in soccer. So also, I met my wife 27 years ago, and the first thing I was asking her, do you want to marry me? And she said, why not? So we get married, get 3 kids. They're 25, 22, and 18 almost now. And then I had a very terrible accident on the age of 26. My whole left side of the face broke down, and I had all this iron here, and I was almost blind in the hospital, which you can see here a little bit. And I had to quit soccer, so I was an invalid, if you want. But funny, I was more happy inside. I mean, the press said it's over, it's a drama, it's a disaster. I couldn't say it, but I was more released somehow. Because soccer, in one way, it was a one-way direction. It's all about performance, and that's it. And I always felt my whole life like an entrepreneur, like doing so many things together with people, with family, with friends, with great ideas. And this wasn't possible in soccer. So I started my own company called Didon. And the name came together because my brother-in-law from Italy, which you see at the right side, he had a restaurant, and I was producing the first idea, hand-painted skis. And I had all these artists make these beautiful skis, and I bought 1,000 pair of naked skis, I sold 80 painted skis, and 50 came back because they broke in half. That was my first experience as a businessman. And Brando said, well, you better do it, your business alone. So he went back to his restaurant. But I continued my idea. And I bought a big farm where we could all live and work together. See, our first board meeting, our first customer. And the idea was like living and working together. I had not so much money from soccer, it's not the same time as now, but I could afford my own mistakes for the first year at least. And we had this wonderful rattan furniture on all of our garden, and every 2 years they broke down, because you know rattan doesn't sweat outside, it breaks down. And then I had my second business idea, who became great. Actually, my grandfather, he produced these handles. You know all these handles, they're still existing by the way now, where you have to wash powder. And I thought, why don't we take these handles and we make it the rattan in plastic so we can leave it outside. So we did, and we moved 6 months to Asia because I met a Filipino guy who was so wonderful the way he weaved the furniture. So the whole family moved to the Philippines because we had no clue about furniture. I was a soccer player, how could I? And we learned about how to do it. So when we came to our first fair, which was here in Frankfurt, we invited also a weaver to show its hand-woven material. And we also brought these wonderful giraffes from Madagascar as a decoration. And like the ski, we hand-painted them in different colors, which you can see here. And believe it or not, in these 5 days, nobody, and if I say nobody, I mean nobody, was interested in the furniture. Nobody. But everybody loved the giraffes. We sold 15,000 giraffes. 15,000. And we survived, really, because the giraffes made the money for us. And you see, everything makes sense in life, because the ski didn't work, but the ski airbrush worked on the giraffes. So see, at the end, everything is for something good, I think. I always believe that. So the furniture market was very old-fashioned, you know, very old-fashioned family business. So to come in as a newcomer, again as a soccer player, nobody was waiting for me. So I had to make this provocation and ad campaigns, like this case. She was a fan against Bayern Munich, so when I stopped my career, she was my first model, called Maxi. So it went better and better and better, and then once came a first-class ticket for me. Mr. Bobby de Kaiser, we invited to come to the Bahamas. And I was great. I was in first class, had all the champagne, and I was so spoiled from the stewardess. And I thought they want to celebrate me because we sold 1,000 chairs to the Club Med Bahamas. So when I came there, I saw the reality. There was all the lawyers from New York. There was everybody from the Club Med. All the furniture broke down within 3 months. Where do you think the white hair come from? And I told them I'm too small to be that they can sue me, but we're gonna find a solution. And we found a solution, and we still business with them after 25 years. So there's always a solution, but it was really, really very critical again. But I want to say this, and you're gonna see a lot of following crises who are gonna come. I love crises. I don't know where it comes from. I love crises because crisis makes you think. It makes you change. I love changes. It makes you also be more true to yourself, be close to yourself. Why did it happen? What did I do wrong? How can I achieve it now? How can I find the next solution? And I really love it. And it's always, in the moment, it's difficult, but you always come out stronger and stronger and stronger. So I think embrace crisis, because it always makes sense, I think. So people more and more believed in us, in Didon, in the furniture. They loved also our family and friend style on our farm, where everybody was involved. All my sisters, brothers, family, everybody's part of something in the company. And we grow very fast, I have to say. We've been, even 10 years after, we've been still 6 people. And After that, within 5 years, we became to 3,200 people. So it sounds great. It's a great story. But to catch up all this, and we didn't learn this before, it was more by our enthusiasm, about our energy, but we just was learning by doing. But to make such a big company and be so responsible for all these people which we employed, it's a big challenge. So it became bigger and bigger. We went from the chicken cottage, we went to the horse stable, we went to a wheel factory. Also, you see a little bit our production. We try to make everything beautiful. So I always thought, why shouldn't people work in a beautiful environment with a good atmosphere? No matter if you're a small farm or a big factory, the idea is always, let's have fun together. We only have this one life. Let's really try to enjoy each other. So we try to make the factory nice. We make wonderful products, crazy products sometimes. We have a wonderful team all over the world. This is in Germany. We have, of course, we have a kitchen. We close the company every day worldwide for 1 hour, so everybody can sit and eat together. And these are the best meetings you can have, because the people, the production guy sits next to a manager, the kitchener sits next to a marketing guy. So everybody talks to everybody, and of course sport. And even we had a big crisis, you will see later. I never saved on that. I never saved. This is the crucial thing to keep creativity, to keep human relations, to keep the fun in the company. But I think it's very, very important to do that. So of course, parties inspired by the Cirque du Soleil, of course. What else? I'm a huge, huge fan of Cirque du Soleil, and I was bummed out when I saw it the first time 25 years ago. And also we try to make our furniture presentation not boring, sometimes it is at furniture fairs. Let's make it fun, let's invite people, let's make a theme, let's have artists, because furniture are sexy. It's like fashion, it's sexy. Why should it be so boring? So now I have to tell you a story which there should be a movie one day about this young man. And it's also a reason why I love so much to be an entrepreneur. Because when you're an entrepreneur, I don't think you have to be so talented. And I don't think you have to be specified in one field. And I'm not good in anything. I'm not good as a technician. I have no clue about numbers. I just love people. And there was one guy called Hervé. You saw him in the beginning. He came from a farm in North France. And he came 20 years ago, and he said, I would like to make an internship in marketing. I didn't have marketing that time. I said, but you can help me in the warehouse. So he had the warehouse, and he organized the whole warehouse. He bought a computer. I didn't have a computer at that time. He organized the whole company in a different way, and I was impressed. And one day, we had a huge challenge, because all the money we made, we sent to the Philippines to a general manager to build up our own factory in the Philippines for the furniture. And what happened is that this manager took this money and built his own factory. Anyhow, and every time we came there, the garage where we had these 12 people was still a garage. We sent money, and the garage was still there, and the other factory crew, which we didn't see. One day we found out, and we stopped, of course, with him. We couldn't sue him because it was too complicated. So we said, okay, what now? Let's make our own factory by ourselves. Who's gonna go there? I couldn't, I have kids already. And Abe said, I'm gonna do that. And he didn't speak much English, like me. He had not much clue about furniture. He never certainly built up a factory. And what happened there, I make it a very long story short, he built up within 5 years the best factory in the world. Second year, third year, fifth year. That's the factory now. Isn't that crazy? Isn't that crazy? And this is so what I love so much, when you let people explore their own talent, when you let people free, when you just trust, I mean real trust, then they can do everything. And it's so for me to see Abe now, and it's like my brother, and he's so the same as before. He's so modest, he's so wonderful. And the way he did it in the Philippines, the secret, is not so complicated. He's just didn't came there via the investor, he came there like a give and take in partnership. Let's do it together with the Filipinos. It's like your company. So we made beautiful areas to work with. We made this wonderful handicraft with the Filipinos. We made, see it here, this wonderful smile. We communicate who's coming in the morning. So there's a very open communication with everybody. And it's not only workers doing it. And all our customers, or you if you want, come by, visit us, have a look. And it's not many companies who open the doors. You can come any day, you can see what's going on there. And this, I think it's so great to find people like Hervé who believes in the philosophical idea and not only money, to make big money quickly. And this, for me, this I love the most. See, we have bus systems there. We eat also. 2,800 people eating every day together. Of course, parties again. And look, Hervé now, productive in many fields, has married and 5 kids now. Super happy guy. Now he's 37 and he's the CEO of the whole company now of Didon worldwide. What a story, isn't it? And I love it. It's great. And the story continues because his brother, he came, and his brother was 18 and a little bit like shy coming here and want to have a summer job in the German company. I said, you know what? I sent you to the Philippines to your brother and you can help him for 3 weeks in the production. This was 10 years ago. He never came back. He's the chef of the production now. He speaks 4 languages. He gives lectures in universities now, and he's 28. Isn't that crazy? And this is, I mean, I can tell you the whole evening. I could tell you stories about this within the company we have. And I will show you later where this idea leads. So, but stay true to yourself. Remember, stay true to yourself. And not for sale means for me, do it. And everything was great, and the press was there every day, television was there every day. What a story, fantastic. Didon, the new crazy company worldwide. The brand became more and more important. I felt terrible. I felt like I lost my idea. My idea was to live in harmony, peaceful after the soccer career, living on a farm. And just if you can live one day from our furniture, great. But to have this big organization, these 3,000 people, this big responsibility, is that what I want? And more I felt in a hole, and I was acting outside. Even inside the company, I was like always this Mr. Smiley, but inside I felt like a little bit lost. And I sold a big part of the company to a private equity company, and I could really, first time you can see it here, relax and take time to reflect and think what else I want to do in life. And the factory was secured. I felt very safe. My team was still in there in place, so it didn't change much for the company, but it changed for me to really have time to think about new things. What did I learn from all this? What is the next step maybe in life? And I felt totally this was over. The next step in my life was make a foundation for 2 reasons. First, I want to help a lot of young people. Secondly, I want to inherit my children, not a big company. I want to inherit a foundation where one day they hopefully take over, they bring in their own ideas, they bring in their father ideas, and they really strive for that. Whatever they will do in life, they can have time for the foundation as well, and the name is set, so I hope they're really going to do that. And it looks good already because some of them are working already there. The idea of this foundation was based what I learned in Didon with Hervé, with Vincent. If you give people a platform and you give them experience and you give them a frame, they can do so much. And you think about young people nowadays, they're so manipulated. You know, every day, 24 hours, they have a message. Every day, they have the music in the ear. Where's the reflection? Where's the silence? Where's the people who are examples for them? So what we want to do is giving, let's say for you all, giving a platform where experiment people can come together with young people, aged between 18 and 28, after school normally, or after university, and really exchange together. So we built up our own school. We make a lot of projects worldwide in social projects, in sport projects, in economic projects, and in cultural projects. And we have great mentors. We have about 100 mentors all over the world, famous, not famous, doesn't matter. Just people who give their energy, who give their time, and who give really their spirit to others. So you see here some of the projects. You see here is the music project, the soccer project, the dance project, all over the world. We have fellows from over 100 countries are coming by. For every project, we have 5 a year for 20 kids each. We have over 2,000 applications worldwide. So you can see the demand of young people. They want to change the world. They want to do something. And what they want to do, I would say, in comparison to my generation, is not to become famous, be a soccer player, or to become rich. They want to change in a social way, in an ecological way, in a communication way, and it's really super, super interesting. But we have to help them. We have to help them to put them a frame. So you see more projects here. Even wonderful people like Jane Goodell is helping us for some projects. The Chimpanzee lady, which you probably all know. And many, many people who are part of this foundation. The foundation became so successful that because it was financed by myself for the first 5 years, because also to make our own mistakes in the beginning. And now it became so successful, it became our own company. It became the Do School. It's a school based in Hamburg and Berlin and offering a project all over the world. Some more projects we can see here. And also, there's one part we do with the Kaiser and Friends. It's the social work. In the Philippines, it's a wonderful country. I don't know if you have been there already. It's same as Montreal, everybody smiles all day. No matter the weather is, no matter the economy is, it's always a good day to have a smile on your face. And the Philippines are great, they're creative. If you want to ask, who wants to sing? 1,000 people, everybody will say, yeah, I want to sing. So they always want to do something, they're creative as hell. But also, there's a lot of problems in this kind of countries. And what we discovered through a German priest who showed us that very close to our factory, there's a dump site. There was a dump site, more than 5,000 people living on this dump site. And when we came there, the first reaction was, probably you would have the same reaction, let's help there, let's build houses, let's bring food there, let's really build a school on the dump site. And they said that's the worst you can do, because now there are 5,000, you're going to have 10,000 if you do that. So what can we do? The only thing you can do is buy land. Buy land, and the big organizations don't do that, but buy land and find land. So we did, we bought land, and for 3 years we worked together with these people from the dump site to the rehousing projects. So we involved them from the beginning, so they helped us to build the houses, their own houses. We talked about, we want to build a house totally different beginning. It was not the way they wanted to, because the way they live and work is all in one house. The animals underneath, then they have the kitchen open for everybody, and the whole family with the grandmother, grandfather, and the parents and kids, same floor, sleeping rooms. So everything was different, so we had to learn a lot. And also, we have to give them work. The biggest concern they had, even they move in a nice house, how they're going to survive, how they're going to work. So we start to make a whole livelihood. We have agriculture, which you can use for themselves, but also sell outside. Of course, we build a school. My daughter and other companies giving them work in fashion now. So this lady is working in fashion now. So it's our drive also to increase this idea, to double this idea probably next year, to move as much people possible. But it's not only that you can give so much. You get much more. You even get more when you live with these people together, when you talk with these people, to see that we first all once, no matter if we're poor or rich or sick or thin, whatever, we all once. And these connections, I think this is so fascinating and so driving us. And of course we have to help in a big way, in a small way, and we just have to help each other. And that's why I think a foundation is so much important than a company, which is important too, but a foundation you have more ways to express this. 2008, you probably all remember, was this big crisis. Huge crisis, disaster. I mean, it looks like the world gonna collapse, especially the financial world gonna collapse. And also, of course, also Didon, we had minus 40%. And I couldn't sleep anymore. I felt so responsible for my company, which I sold for the most part, and I bought it back. So I bought back the whole company, and I said, okay, now we have this big crisis. Everybody is in a cost-cutting program. I want to be on a fantasy program. I want to put a lot of money in there and make crazy things, because people even if they have no money, they need fantasy. They need a great atmosphere. They need people having fun, showing them something. It's like soccer. If you have 1-0 against you, you have to attack. You have to score 2 goals and not wait to get the next goal. So what we did was put the best designer in the world, with Philippe Starck, Masso, many others, in the game, make beautiful furniture, ask Bruce Weber, one of the best photographers in the world, to make a crazy campaign. Forget the furniture, I told him. Forget the furniture. Just make people the way you want. We built a tree house. And people said, we're crazy. We had 80 countries. We showed this advertising. People didn't know what we're doing. Are they doing furniture? But at the end, they understood. They understood, well, that's brave, because they give us power, energy. At the end, it's all about energy. And we continue. We said, let's forget to make a normal catalog. Why should we make the beautiful girl in the beautiful furniture, in the beautiful background, boring? let's make it fun. Let's go a tour du monde. So we took our people, 40 people, we went around the world. We went around the world for 8 months and make it the most crazy catalog probably in the world, who looks like this. In the Seychelles, in Thailand, in Africa, and we lived with these people. 1 week outside, we lived everywhere to really share stories. And a company is not about selling something, it's about sharing an idea, and also it becomes a little bit a tribe. Why did brands become so important nowadays? Look, religions, families, everything gets lower. Brands getting up. But it has to be truthful. A brand has to be real. It has to be a real connection to people and a real stories. And that's what we're trying to do. So the Story Tour du Monde went all over the world. See here, Thailand again, Africa, South Africa we've been, and in the Alps. And to enlarge the idea, we said, well, we're selling furniture, but we should make more atmosphere ourselves. So we created an island. We bought a part of an island in the Philippines, and we said, because I hated holidays. I always thought holidays, you come there, and it's organized, you have to eat at that time, you have to pay everything double. I said, I don't want this anymore. I want a holiday where you go, you pay once advance, everything is included, massages, excursions, food. You eat whenever you want, wherever you want. There's no reception. You can make challenges, your excursions. Everything is part of your holiday. You're free. You can cook in the kitchen with the cooks. You're part. You want to have experiences. The Western world became so spoiled and so bored about being a consumer. We want to be a creator. We want to be an adventurer. So our Dedon Island in the Philippines, please come by one day. It's only 9 houses, so not all at once, please. It became this way, and it was a lot of gray hair again because we had no clue how to build an island. But it became really wonderful with these 9 houses, with these atmospheres, and it's really very interesting. People are coming there. It's an exchange of people, what I always look for. Make a frame, a platform where people can join together and come together. See here, great fishing there as well. Stand-up paddling, you should try this. It's super sport, water ski. And wow, I'm in time. This is the biggest challenge. I had 30 minutes only. I'm still 2 minutes. That's the first time I can reach that. Normally I speak very slowly, but because of this, I speak very fast. Now, I think to conclude this, all this, I think we are all in the same boat. We all want the same. We all want to feel each other. We want to have a life which we feel in balance. We don't want to make crazy ideas which overwhelms us. We not want to get bored. We want to find the right way. And I think no matter what you do, if you make an island, furniture, Cirque du Soleil, whatever you do, a conference, it's all about the energy which we putting together. And the energy cannot be, you cannot buy the energy. You have to create the energy. You have to give something. It's a given and taken in a permanent way. And I think this makes us human relations so fantastic, so fascinating, that at the end, the most fascinating are us together. Thank you very much.